Research, NASSCOM India. Three of our panel members, Dr. Srinivas Padmanabhani, PhD in AI, Chief Mentor, Tara AI, President, International Society of Automation, Asia Pacific District 14. Then we also have Dr. Anjaneyulu Basala, Principal Research Scientist, Infosys, Bangalore. Welcome all the panel members and the moderator. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Prashant and Mahesh. This is Madhu here. Thanks, RB Shifters, for having me here in this edition of AI Fest. Just to give a small introduction, I think we should quickly have a quick 1-minute introduction of each of us. I think Dr. Srinivas has already introduced in detail in the previous sessions. Just to introduce myself, people call me Madhu, and I'm part of NASSCOM, the Apex Chamber of Commerce for India's $190 billion IT and ITES industry. So I take care of the Engineering R&D Council. This is an industry and ecosystem development role. And the vision, our vision is to ensure that, when the world thinks of digital, the world will think of India. And the mission is to help the technology and products and services industry in India to be trustworthy and innovative across the globe. On a personal note, I am from a lovely place, Kanyakumari district, where the Western Ghats and Western Ghat ends and the 3 seas meet together. This is a short note from my side. Can we have a quick round of introduction from Rajesh and Anjaneyulu? Hello.
Hi, this is Anjaneyulu. In short, people call me Anji. I work for Infosys as a principal research scientist. I investigate technologies and procedures and tools in the area of software engineering and analytics. Currently working on IoT and related technologies, including security analytics. I am from the place called Tirupati, Sri Venkateswara University Engineering College. I did my BTech and MTech, and also a faculty for some time there, teaching computer science courses. And I did my PhD from IIT Madras. For the last 14 years, I've been working in Infosys as a scientist. Before that, I was a part of Philips Research Asia and Hughes Software Systems.
Wonderful, Anjaneyulu. Rajesh.
Thank you.
Friends, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, Rajesh. Please go ahead.
Okay. Friends, my name is Rajesh Rathi. I am from Bangalore. I live in Bangalore. I did my BTech in electrical engineering way back in 1982 from IIT Madras. Nice to have a fellow alum over here. I'm basically an entrepreneur in the area of automation. For all of last almost 30 years, I have been an entrepreneur in industrial automation. The whole scene is now exploding with IoT and AI and ML and whatnot. So going forward, we are basically trying to build our expertise as a layer on top of the basic industrial automation. And basically that's what perhaps qualifies me to be here. I'm also a district vice president for International Society of Automation, ISA. I can see that ISA Hyderabad section is one of the sponsors of this event. So ISA is one of my key pursuits going forward. This is my brief introduction, friends.
Madhu, all yours now. You can take the session forward.
It's a good topic, which is a very interesting topic. I've seen a lot of discussions already happen. How AI can help IoT. Okay, so I'll just set the floor like this. I'll give a small brief about from the market perspective and what does it mean actually, and then we'll be provoking a few questions, posting it to the panel, other panel members. So just to start with this, AI, in IoT market. This is actually currently about $5.1 billion market, 2019 estimate, and this is a global estimate. And this is actually growing at a very, very high, fast pace, is about 26% growth, CAGR growth, and it will likely to touch $16 billion industry by 2024. Okay, so the growing need of processing voluminous real-time data that stream from IoT devices and reduce the maintenance costs is driving the adoption of AI in IoT. Okay, real-time monitoring of a huge amount of data to deliver exceptional customer experience is expected to provide the opportunities for AI vendors. So there is actually a clear intersection between the Internet of Things and the artificial intelligence. When I say actually, to be more accurate, when I say AI, I really mean the machine learning and deep learning and things like that, right? And AI is about, IoT is about connecting machines and making use of data generated from those machines. And AI is about stimulating the intelligent behavior in machines of all kinds. There is clearly an overlap, right? And so the IoT devices will generate a vast amount of data. Then AI will be functionally necessary to deal with these huge volumes if we were to have any chance of making sense of data. So data is actually only useful if it creates an action. This is very, very fundamental to everyone. Everybody is aware of it. To make data more actionable, it needs to be supplemented with context and creativity. So IoT and AI together in this context is called, can be called as connected intelligence, not just connected devices, right? So with this, I would like to we saw that data is very, very important. So I would like to pose a small question to the panelists. So it will start from Srinivas, and then Rajesh, and then Anjaneyulu. In that order, we can give about 3 minutes, not more than that, for each of them. We can spend 3 minutes time for each of those. So what are the opportunities? The question is that, what are all the opportunities in analysis of streaming data in IoT? Can you brief Dr. Srinivas?
Thanks, Madhu. You see, to set the context very clearly, one of the big things we need to understand is today there is no value of data without a endpoint to the usage of the same. So we need to start from the end use case perspective. So I think from a use case perspective, one of the big things we want to understand is the phenomena of IoT offers us to generate insights from kind of domains where we could never imagine earlier data coming. Say, for example, today, at least if you take a historic perspective of some of the earliest versions where we had some kind of RFID tags being present in retail stores, where they were using the retail tags of RFID to understand whether there is an element present on a rack or when that is depleted to trigger a replenishment system, or whether a RFID tag being used in containers, in pallets for transportation and understanding, counting how much it is, and tracking the systems. Or today, where we're talking about really complicated sensors working in non-invasive diagnostics for different body parameters in healthcare, or instrumentation of machines to understand the behavior of the machine and any faults, etc. So I think in terms of applications, the data definitely is streaming, as you all know, because IoT means there is a sensor and there are additionally sometimes there may be actuators, but there's always a regular interval. Data keeps coming. So in that sense, definitely the data is streaming. But what are the opportunities? Opportunities are, As already, earlier session we had talked about Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is about moving the spectrum of all kinds of industry processes from a reactive mode to a strong analytics-driven, what we call as predictive and preventative mode. So, for example, we can do a very efficient asset management in industries by monitoring assets with appropriate sensors. We can understand potential failure in machinery before itself the actual machine fails. Or in case of healthcare, let us look at today devices that are being devised for non-intrusive, healthcare determination of vital body parameters. So today we have sensors which can monitor different aspects of body like temperature, blood parameters, etc. Then lastly, but not the least, you got to understand that it is about wherever there is a sense and a response conglomeration, we have that opportunity. It could be example like I gave in industry. It could be about asset maintenance. It could be about preventive maintenance. It could be about tracking assets. It could be about improving supply chain effectiveness. Or in case of healthcare, it's about smart sensing. Also, it's about environment. We look at environment today. Today, you need environment to sense lots of different pollutions, etc., like PM 2.5, etc. So today, huge amounts of opportunities in environment monitoring. Smart cities, as we all know, is a collection of smart environment, smart traffic lights, smart transportation, smart garbage bins, name it, and all of them are powered by AI with appropriate AI and analytics on top of it. So in terms of opportunities, moving everything from reactive to preventive and creating smart and connected and context sensitive environments, whether it is in retail, whether it is in smart city, whether it is in machinery, manufacturing, asset maintenance, healthcare, all those make huge number of use cases for potential smart. Lastly, and not forget agriculture. Today there is a lot of agriculture use cases where people are using smart sensing to detect soil moisture, the proper understanding of where to sow, etc. So I think opportunities are abundant where we can use the streaming data from IoT to create real business opportunities.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot, Srinivasa. So Rajesh, your take on this. I think he has covered it exhaustively.
Thanks, Madhu. You see, my understanding from whatever I read is that the maximum demand or the maximum involvement of IoT would be in the ranking would be healthcare, industry, followed by energy, and then the urban infrastructure. I do not have any expertise in healthcare, so I'll skip that. Let's first address industry. Mainly two types, process and discrete manufacturing. And whatever my perceptions are, I think in the discrete manufacturing, the applications are emerging faster compared to the process control. That is because process control is more about the modeling, and discrete parts has got so many other things with which you can use the IoT data to improve your working. And now I just quickly classify industrial, apart from classifying it as process and discrete parts. There are applications and opportunities for the OEMs, because the OEMs who manufacture machines can monitor their own machines at multiple locations, at multiple customer sites, and try to see what is going wrong and do some kind of pattern matching and see how they can improve their machines. There are end users who have multiple machines in the same location, and they have to basically see how their entire production line is functioning very, very smoothly. And the third one is there are plants where there is a mix of process control and discrete manufacturing, for example, food. And then these plants are like multiple plants located in multiple geographical locations. And you can start analyzing the IoT data coming from each one of them to say why one plant is less efficient, why one plant has got less quality. So that's about industry. I quickly jump to the infrastructure. Over there, two main topics which I have personally come face to face with are railways and power transmission and distribution. In the railways, of course, it's a question of a huge amount of rolling stock, as well as a big network. Now, one way that IoT streaming data can be used is to monitor the tracks, whereby every passing rolling stock on a track can monitor that track, keep on depositing, and a smart application can keep on matching this to say a particular point on a track, how it is deteriorating over a period of time. So that's one typical application. I'm basically giving real life examples just so that the participants can also understand where the real life opportunities are coming from. The second one is there is huge amount of rolling stock, and this rolling stock is scattered everywhere, and there are maintenance and repairs that are going on all across the countries, and you have to make sure that you are tracking each thing as it is moving. You are also moving it to the closest repair and maintenance place when it does need that, and you are collecting the data so that you have the history of a particular part in a rolling stock. A rolling stock, by the way, are the locomotives and the coaches and the wagons. So you are basically keeping track of a particular part and its history of performance so that you can take care of that. So these are typical applications in transportation. Then there comes power. In case of power, we are basically looking at, again, a huge distribution and transmission network. And you have to do a lot of management of load on this. So one thing is the maintenance. How frequent. Other thing is the real-time load management. Now this comes from earlier they have been called as phaser, synchro phasers, but ultimately what it is IoT devices who are basically giving all kinds of power information, and based on that you are looking at the stability of the network and you are on the network. So if you are really doing some good and there are some extensive applications which IoT presents. So these is, of course, there's a huge ocean of opportunities over there. I have covered only the ones that I'm familiar with and I have expertise. Thank you.
Yeah, Rajesh. Actually, like it is completely a different perspective, which is not generally available on the public domain. On the railways, the transportation and the power transmission, what can be done. Dr. Anjaneyulu, like if you can take us through like your perspectives on
that. Thank you, Madhu, for giving an opportunity to speak to the audience and about the opportunities. Now everybody is imagining a smart future. What is a smart future? Each and every device is a smart, intelligent device. Somebody is asking, just to give an example for the person who is asking, what is the hardware used for IoT? Even your mobile is in a smart device, right? Your mobile could be in one of the IoT device. Today, if you look at smart health, which we also had a small pie on that, and we build a for healthcare. We use the entire mobile as an IoT device, which is equipped with identifying the fatigue. The moment you are running, how exhausted you are, based on your fatigue, based on your speech, it recognizes how fat you are, how much further you can run. So that kind of application, so which we build, where it also interacts with the intelligently with other collaborators. Let's say today you are a bit of tired, and it defines who are all the current users and what is the track they're using and whom with you can join. And that kind of application which we build, and in collaboration with our partners in Netherlands, and it is available IntelliRun. That is one application which we can I recall as a smart health application. And also we are working on a smart farming, where Dr. Srini has touched upon. Typically, we have several applications where the IoT with AI can help. There are a lot of applications where it has already been used by the farmers across South India. One application where one of my colleagues, Rajesh has, he's also an IIT Madras alumni, where using the mobile, you can switch on your borewell. You can control the input to the output of the borewell, and you can switch off. And it also, when there is a power outage, it informs the power has come. You need not run to the borewell place. If you are sleeping on your bed, you can switch on the borewell. So these are the kind of farming. And also we are looking at another application which can identify the kind of what we call as a localized crop disease diagnostic, along with one of my professor, a colleague, a research colleague in VIT, where we are trying to use the federated AI to identify the crop using your mobile. And within the crop, so there is a localization. In locally, there will be a particular disease is predominant. Can you identify that? And using that federated AI, you can locally decide what kind of disease it is, identify the diseases, and send it to the cloud. All these various inputs, and at the cloud level, at the server level, we identify globally what is the phenomena of what kind of disease it is coming up. So there is several layers of federated AI which we are using, identifying locally, diagnose the crop, but look at globally also what is going to happen across the district or across the state, etc. Another one is look at the smart homes. Smart homes. Typically, what do you mean by smart home? Which listen to your speech. That's full of AI application, AI technologies, and identifying the patterns, etc. Start with the door. So today we have we'll be replacing with a smart rather than a hardware locks and to a smartware locks. That's one of the devices I can say IoT, where it's not a lock, it is a password. The password, again, it is an invasive. Can we use any biological factors? The face, again, you have to identify your face. Can we do something invasive, non-invasive? These are all invasive. Can we use a non-invasive? That's what I mean by typing DNA. The DNA, while every person has a particular pattern of typing, based on how much key, how long the key is pressed, what is the key force he has used. Based on this, you can use AI, identify a DNA of each and every particular person. So when you type, what I mean by when you type your password, it's not only the password which is checked, and also your DNA, typing DNA which is checked. And that's the huge AI application, and you enter. So the user doesn't know that its DNA is captured and identified, right? The second application, with futuristic application, which is like another.
I might have to stop you here. Like I think we are.
Okay. Fine.
Discussion. Very happy to have further, but like in the interest of time, I would like to just
understood.
Like the opportunity. Yeah. So opportunities are tremendous. Like right from your smart cities to smart homes to smart farming, transportation, distribution network. It is very, very wide. I have only like about 7 more minutes left in the session. I would like to take the next question for all of you. Is that to understand that what kind of techniques does AI offer in streaming IoT data? Let us just restrict ourselves for one minute each. Dr. first.
Yeah, so to understand, there is one big issue with streaming data. That is velocity. So anything regarding data, you have to have store and forward architectures. So forward architectures are very, very fundamental in AI systems built on IoT data. So every one of these have some kind of a system for reliably storing in permanent storage. It could be a Logstash, or it could be a Kafka, or it could be a Spark kind of an engine, which actually takes the streaming data and converts them and stores either in batches or in some kind of parts, and then run analytics on top of it. So in terms of the algorithms, there are today two kinds of algorithms. One, what we call as the online versions of conventional machine learning algorithms. These are what we call as the streaming versions of conventional machine learning algorithms. For example, if you have a decision tree algorithm, which is very common in conventional techniques of managing data with machine learning, we have something called a very fast decision tree, which is a very slow sampling based decision tree, which asymptotically may lead to a decision tree kind of thing, but it works very nicely on the streaming data and generating a decision tree. Second kind of category of techniques are what we call as sliding, or what we call as tumbling window techniques, where you try to create windows of data within the stream and you treat that whole stream as one source of data, and you run your analytics on top of that. It could be a machine learning on top of it, could be a regression model on top of it, and see how the pattern changes with every window. For example, if you see how Twitter trending words are captured, it's a constant stream of text which is coming, but what happens is you create a window, and within that window you create a set of data within that stream, and then you run your analytics on top of it. So between this kind of approach where we work on windowing and between lightweight versions of machine learning techniques, I think this is still a big area of research for streaming data techniques. And lastly, I also want to mention that SQL has taken a new term, which variations known as streaming SQL, whether it is offered in WSO2 or whether it's offered in Azure or Amazon Kinesis, all of them work on something called as modified SQL for streaming data, so that you can form queries on streams of data. So I think these three categories are going to be the new kinds of techniques.
Very, very nicely summed up. Rajesh, like your response to this, like.
Sure. My brief take on this is I divide, of course, there are multiple AI applications which can help IoT, but I have chosen to talk about two. The first one is optimization of the data buffering, which is what we just now called as store and forward. It has an effect not only on the communication bandwidth and the cloud space that you consume with the data that you are uploading to the cloud, but also a very smart and reliable management of continuity of the data. Because especially when you look at the assets which are moving around, the internet availability will be very, very intermittent and errant. As a result of that, a very effective AI method to store such data and connect so that the continuity is maintained, that's where AI can help. The second part is once the data is already gathered, the analytics that is going to be performed on that, there is one important step before that, and that is the data curation. And this is also where AI can help, ML can help, because all the data that you have gathered with IoT need not be very reliable. There may be problems with the sensors, there may be conditions where there may be some anomaly, and that data may suddenly start looking unreliable, especially not for making some decisions which are very important. So curating, cleaning up the data, I think AI has a big role to play on that. Once that curation is done, after that, the specific domain-specific analytics can take over. But before that, I think there have to be some common techniques to curate the data.
Wonderful. Yeah. Dr. Anjaneyulu, like, what are the techniques do you see?
We have done small applications in terms of the security analytics, where we detected the fault entries into the development center or the restricted area. We use the typically to identify whether the person is swiping the ID card, or is the person is not swiping the ID card, or simply following the person who has opened the door. So we use the simple technique in terms of the deep learning techniques. That's where we have used, and not much of a streaming of data, that to best of my practical knowledge in that sense.
Okay, right. Actually, like it's really interesting, and I would ask the team that I think like we need more time for these kind of topics. This is really, really getting in depth. With that, like, I would like to sum it up. This happens to be on the multiple V's, right? Like you have, it is like volume of the data which is coming in, and variety of data and the devices being connected, and the velocity at which you need to quickly sum up the whole what do you call the data which is there, that we call it as data tsunami, right? And the veracity of data in its raw form, IoT data is always called as dirty. It has to be filtered to make some sense, so to derive some value out of it. So value is the transformation of big data to useful information and insights. And we are actually now seeing AI being implemented in edge also, right? With greater processing power and the longer battery life, the edge devices, the AI playing in edge devices significantly boosts like the securities and things like that. So we are seeing a lot more significant investment in the convergence of IoT and AI. Just to name a few, so the Microsoft and the AWS both investing heavily on their edge and cloud intelligence services. So just to post the whole topic in a different way, actually, it is not supposed to be how AI can help IoT. It is rather the future of IoT is in AI. Thanks a lot for with the panel members for joining us, and we would like to continue the discussion even after that as well. So any questions? I don't think there is time for questions, but if there is anything, we would like to take maybe a couple of questions. Prashant, do you want?
Yeah, Madhu, you can take 2 questions, not a problem.
Yeah. So there a question. Yeah. So there is a question.
So there is one question from Raven, which says, with reference to the current crisis, would it be cost efficient to develop an app with drone monitors using AI for moderating people movement and positive cases?
Yeah. Anyone would like to attempt that?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So Dr. Srini here. So today already we have applications which today, in fact, there are applications which are talking about monitoring social distancing using vision systems. So I don't see why not. So if somebody is up there to take it up, I'm sure it's a good use case. As we see that post lockdown, this kind of device, these kind of applications will be more and more required.
Thank you, Srini.
Sorry, I could not see the window. Sorry, like somebody can attempt.